Move, move, move. Adiza Konkwo was already running before she hit the bottom of the stairs, her catering pot clutched to her chest like a newborn, her natural hair escaping its bun in every direction possible. The platform was packed. The number 2 train was already there. The doors were already threatening to close. God of my fathers, hold that train. She ran. She weaved through a tourist family, leapt over a stroller, apologizing midair, and launched herself through the closing doors with 1 second to spare. She made it. What she did not account for was the man launching himself through the same doors from the opposite side. The collision was immediate, total, and catastrophic. Adiz went down. The man went down. The pot went up. For one beautiful, terrible second, jollof rice hung in the air above the number 2 train like a culinary aurora borealis, fragrant, orange, and utterly doomed. Then gravity remembered its job. Rice. Everywhere. On the floor. On the seats. On a businessman's laptop. On the head of a sleeping college student who woke up, looked around, and simply closed his eyes again. The entire train car went silent. A little girl in pigtails pointed at Adiz. "Mommy, that lady made it rain food." Adiz lay flat on her back, staring at the ceiling, one hand still gripping the now empty pot. She did not move. She did not speak. She simply processed the enormity of what had just happened. Then she sat up. "My rice." The man across from her was face down on the floor, a delivery bag crushed beneath him, black bean noodles oozing out from the sides. He lifted his head slowly. He had sauce on his nose, rice in his hair, and the expression of a man who had already had a very bad day before this moment. "My jjajangmyeon," he whispered. "My rice." Adiz was on her knees now, scooping what she could back into the pot with her bare hands. "This rice has been cooking since yesterday. I woke up at 5 in the morning. 5. I am so sorry I wasn't. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Just," she paused, stared into the pot, and felt something crack open in her chest. This was for a wedding. The man, tall, Korean, dark-haired, still wearing a look of absolute horror, sat up slowly. A wedding. 200 guests. Marriott on 54th. In. She checked her phone. 43 minutes. The silence that followed was heavy enough to feel. An elderly Jamaican woman in the back row leaned over to her neighbor and whispered, "This better than Netflix. Hey, if you're already hooked, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This story only gets wilder from here." Drop a comment below. Team Ada or Team Junho? Let's go. Junho Park had genuinely not intended to destroy anyone's morning. He had been listening to a voice note from his mother, volume at full because his left earbud had died 3 days ago, and he kept forgetting to replace it, while rushing to deliver jjajangmyeon to a wedding reception that had called the restaurant 4 times in the last hour. His mother's voice had been saying, "Junho Wei, if you ruin this delivery, I will personally come to New York and ruin you." And he had been reaching into his bag to silence the phone when the doors began to close and his legs made a decision without consulting his brain. And then there had been a woman, and a pot, and rice, everywhere. He looked at her now, this furious, beautiful woman in a catering uniform with jollof rice in her hair and tears she was absolutely refusing to let fall. And he felt the specific, stomach-dropping guilt of a man who knows he is entirely at fault. "How much rice is left?" he asked. "Enough for maybe half the guests." "How many guests?" 200. Junho closed his eyes. Okay. That is all you have to. Let me fix it." She stopped, stared at him. "Excuse me. My family's restaurant is 2 stops back. My cousin is there right now. I can call him. We can make more jjajangmyeon. And if you tell me what you need for the rice, we'll figure it out." He pulled out his phone. "What's your name?" She looked at him like he had just suggested they fly to the moon. "Adiz." "Ada." "Junho." He was already dialing. "Get off at the next stop with me. I don't know you. You don't have 200 portions of food either." Ada looked at the pot, looked at him, looked at the pot again. The Jamaican woman in the back called out cheerfully, "Go with the man, baby. What you got to lose?" Ada pointed at her pot. "I already lost everything." "Then you got nothing left to lose. Go." The restaurant kitchen was everything Ada had not expected. Small, spotless, smelling of garlic and sesame oil, and something she couldn't name but immediately wanted to eat. Junho's cousin Minjae was at the stove before they even finished explaining, for burners going, his movements fast and confident despite being 24 and wearing a Supreme hoodie. How long do we have? Minjae asked. 38 minutes, Junho said. And she needs more tomato base, fresh pepper, thyme, bay leaves, and enough rice to feed 100 more people, Ada cut in, already tying her apron. She had stopped asking permission about 3 blocks ago and had moved directly into survival mode. Minjae looked at his cousin. Junho looked at Minjae. She's kind of incredible, Minjae said. I can't hear you, Ada said. I know. I said it loud on purpose. Minjae turned back to the stove. Yo, the spice cabinet is behind you. Take whatever you need. Ada turned, opened the cabinet, and went completely still. It was the most organized spice cabinet she had ever seen in a commercial kitchen. Everything labeled, everything grouped. Bay leaves exactly where they should be. She grabbed what she needed. And for the first time since the subway, she exhaled. They worked in silence for exactly 4 minutes. Then Ada made a sound. Not a word, just a sound. The specific sound a person makes when something is wrong, but they are trying very hard to keep it together. Junho was beside her instantly. What happened? The tomato paste. She held up the can. It's the wrong kind. This is sweetened. If I use this in jollof rice, it will taste like tomato jam. Tomato jam, Junho. Okay. 200 people. A wedding. Tomato jam. Minjae. Junho turned around. Where is the unsweetened tomato paste? Minjae spun from his station, spatula in hand, thinking. We used the last of it yesterday. I was supposed to restock this morning, but then Mama called, and she wanted to talk about my life choices for 45 minutes, and Minjae, I'll run to the store. You have 7 minutes. I'll run fast. Minjae untied his apron, threw it at Junho, and was out the back door before Ada could fully process what was happening. She stood there holding the wrong tomato paste and breathing through her nose. Junho took the can from her gently. He'll make it. And if he doesn't, then we pivot. To what? What is the pivot from jollof rice at a wedding, Junho? What does that look like? It looks like jjajangmyeon for 200 people and a very interesting story the bride tells for the rest of her life. Ada stared at him. Then she pressed her fingers to her temples and laughed, short, sharp, and slightly unhinged. The laugh of someone who had genuinely lost control of the situation and was choosing between crying and comedy. Junho smiled, carefully, like he wasn't sure he had permission yet. Stir the base, Ada said, pointing at the stove. Medium heat. Don't let it catch. Yes, chef. She looked at him sideways. Say that again and mean it. Yes, chef. She nodded once. Better. They found a rhythm. Ada directing, Junho executing. Both of them moving around the small kitchen with the focused energy of people who understood that failure was not an option and time was not a friend. He handed her things before she asked. She corrected his technique once, the way he was folding rather than stirring, and he adjusted without argument, which she noted and filed away quietly. You've cooked professionally before, she said. It wasn't a question. I grew up in this kitchen. My parents had me peeling garlic at 5 years old. My mother had me washing rice at 4. She timed you. She graded me. Junho turned to look at her. On washing rice. Presentation, thoroughness, and speed. Ada kept her eyes on the pot. I got A-B- the first time. I cried for an hour. Don't say traumatic. I was going to say familiar. He paused. My father used to make me replate dishes if the garnish was even slightly off-center. Ada was quiet for a moment. Then, what is it with our parents and food being a moral test? I think, Junho said slowly, that for them, food was the thing they could control. In a new country, in a hard life. Feeding people well was how they said I am here, and I have not been defeated. Ada stopped stirring. She turned and looked at him properly for the first time since the subway. Not with irritation. Not with the frantic assessment of someone calculating a solution. Just looked at him. That's exactly it, she said quietly. That's exactly what it is. For 3 seconds the kitchen was still. Then the back door flew open and Minjae burst in, chest heaving, holding a can of unsweetened tomato paste above his head like an Olympic torch. I have returned. Give me that, Ada said, already moving. You're welcome, Minjae wheezed, collapsing against the wall. I ran 4 blocks in flip-flops. 4. I pulled a muscle I didn't know I had. I think it's called the dignity muscle. You saved the wedding, Junho told him. Minjae pointed at him weakly. Tell Mama that. Specifically those words. Tonight. If this story has you smiling, Hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps more people find this content. Keep watching. The best part is coming. 22 minutes later, they were in a cab heading uptown. Ada's restored jollof pot wedged between her knees. Junho's jjajangmyeon containers stacked carefully in the footwell, both of them slightly damp from the steam and breathing like they had survived something. The cab driver glanced in the rearview mirror. You two just came from a restaurant? Yes, said Ada. You together? No, said Ada. Yes, said Junho. Ada turned. We are not together. I meant together as in traveling to the same place. Oh, she faced forward. Yes, that. Junho looked out the window. He was smiling at his own reflection in the glass, which he tried to stop doing and could not. The cab driver nodded like he had seen this exact thing before and knew precisely how it ended. The Marriott ballroom was already buzzing when they arrived. Guests in Ankara and Hanbok and everything in between were finding their seats. The bride, Kayamika Young, stunning in white and gold, her laughter audible from the lobby, spotted Ada from across the room and made a beeline. You're here. You're actually here. My mother-in-law said the food wasn't coming, and I told her Ada Okonkwo does not miss a contract. Kayamika stopped. Looked at Junho standing beside Ada, still holding containers. Who is this? Nobody, Ada said. I'm Junho, Junho said. He caused an incident on the subway and is making up for it, Ada said. Kayamika looked between them slowly. The way a woman who just survived wedding planning looks at something she immediately recognizes as a love story in its earliest, most chaotic form. Incident, Kayamika repeated. Don't, Ada said. I haven't said anything. Your face has said several things. Kayamika pressed her lips together. Turned to Junho. Thank you for helping her. She did most of it, Junho said. I just didn't get in the way after the first time. Kayamika turned back to Ada with an expression that said everything words didn't need to. Ada pointed at her. I will leave right now. The food stays though, Kayamika said brightly, already walking away. Go set up. The food went out, and the room transformed. That was the only word for it. One moment, it was a beautiful wedding. The next, it was an experience. Guests who had never tasted jollof rice were closing their eyes over their plates. Guests who had never touched jjajangmyeon were asking for second helpings. 2 elderly Korean women found 2 elderly Nigerian women, and within minutes, they were exchanging phone contacts over a shared bowl of rice like they had been neighbors for years. Ada stood at the back of the room and watched it happen and felt the specific satisfaction of work done well under conditions that should have made it impossible. Junho appeared beside her with 2 plates. He held one out. She looked at it. Is that jollof rice and jjajangmyeon? Side by side. He tilted his head. I wanted to see if they worked together. Ada took the plate. She tried the jollof first, out of loyalty, out of habit. Perfect. She had saved it. Then she tried the jjajangmyeon and went very still. This is good, she said. The words came out reluctant, like they had fought to stay in. Don't strain yourself with the compliment. I said it was good, Junho. Don't push it. He was grinning again. She was learning that he grinned the way most people blinked, frequently and without full awareness. She was finding, an extremely inconvenient quality to be standing next to. They do work together, she said quietly, looking at the plate. The smokiness of the jollof and the depth of the black bean. They shouldn't, but they do. Things that shouldn't work together often do, Junho said. Ada looked at him. He looked at his food with the carefully neutral expression of a man who had absolutely meant that as a metaphor and was absolutely pretending he hadn't. She let it sit there between them, warm, unaddressed, like something that didn't need words yet. The first dance began. Kayamika and her husband moved to the center of the floor, while the room washed with the particular tenderness reserved for 2 people choosing each other in front of everyone they love. Afro beats faded into something slower. Something that crossed every border in the room without asking permission. Ada felt her throat tighten unexpectedly. She was not a crier. Her mother had raised her to fix things, not feel them publicly. But there was something about a wedding, the specific, terrifying hope of it, that always found the crack in her armor. You okay? Junho asked. I'm fine. You look like you're about to cry. I said I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with Junho. She exhaled. I almost ruined this. I almost showed up to this woman's wedding with half a pot of rice and an apology. She's been my friend since the 7th grade. I've watched her plan this day for 2 years. Her voice stayed steady. Just barely. I don't handle almost very well. Junho was quiet for a moment. But you didn't. You fixed it. We fixed it. You fixed it, he said again firmly. I knocked over a pot and handed you spices. You rebuilt a wedding reception in a borrowed kitchen in under 40 minutes. That was you. Ada turned to look at him and found him already looking at her, not with the cautious, measuring glance of someone being careful, but directly. The way people look when they have stopped performing and started meaning it. Why are you being so nice to me? She asked. You don't know me. I know you woke up at 5 in the morning because your friend deserved a perfect wedding. I know you didn't cry on that subway, even though you wanted to. I know you walked into a stranger's kitchen and took charge like you'd worked there for years. He paused. I know you gave me one correction on my stirring technique and then trusted me with the rest. That's not a small thing. Ada opened her mouth, closed it. Kayamika chose that exact moment to appear from nowhere, slightly breathless from dancing, eyes bright. She looked at Ada, looked at Junho, looked at the distance, or rather, the lack of it, between them. Just checking on the caterer, she said innocently. You are not subtle, Ada told her. I'm a married woman now. I don't have to be. Kayamika beamed at Junho. She's terrible at accepting help, just so you know. She once tried to fix her own radiator rather than call the building super. Kayamika. She also hasn't been on a date in 14 months. I will put you back in that wedding dress and drive you to the airport myself. I'm just saying. Kayamika was already retreating back to the dance floor, laughing. Junho, it was lovely to meet you. Ada, call me tomorrow. With details. She pointed at both of them, mouthed you're welcome, and disappeared into the crowd. Ada stood very still. Junho, to his considerable credit, did not laugh. He pressed his lips together and looked at the ceiling and composed himself with great effort. 14 months, he finally said. Don't. I'm not saying anything. Good. I'm just. Junho. Okay. He raised both hands. Peace. Surrender. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone. He held it out to her screen up, a new contact page open. In case you ever need a sous chef. Or someone to blame for a subway incident. Or. Ada looked at the phone. Looked at him. 14 months sat in the air behind her like a nudge from the universe, which she found extremely unprofessional of the universe. She took the phone, typed her number, handed it back. Don't make it weird, she said. I would never. You already are. A little, he admitted. But you're still here. She was. And when the slow song drifted out from the ballroom and wrapped around the both of them standing there in the quiet edge of a room, full of people celebrating love, neither of them moved away. It was Minjae who ruined it. Of course it was. His voice came through on Junho's phone, full volume, no warning, echoing across the entire balcony. Yo, Junho, did Shorty give you her number? Mama wants to know. She already Googled Nigerian wedding traditions. She said, and I quote, the bride price system is very reasonable. Tell Junho to not mess this up. The entire nearby table of wedding guests turned to look. Ada buried her face in her hands. Junho stared at his phone with the expression of a man reconsidering every life choice that had led him to this moment. Then Ada started laughing. Not the short, sharp survival laugh from the kitchen. A real one. Full and warm and completely unguarded. The kind that changes a person's face entirely. Junho looked at her and felt something settle in his chest like a key turning in a lock he hadn't known was there. He brought the phone up. Tell Mama to relax, Minjae. She's already in the group chat. Bro. She added Ada's hypothetical contact as future daughter. She doesn't even have her number. She's optimistic, Junho. It's a cultural thing. Ada, if you can hear this, she makes really good doenjang jjigae, and she just wants. Junho ended the call. Ada wiped her eyes. Still laughing. I am so sorry, he said. No, you're not. No, I'm not. He smiled. Welcome to my family. I haven't agreed to anything. Yet, he said quietly. Ada looked at him one more time. This man who had destroyed her rice and then spent his entire afternoon making it right, who had stood in a borrowed kitchen and handed her spices and meant every word he said and not a single word more than he meant. Yet, she said. 6 months later, Ada's mother and Junho's mother were on a three-way video call that had been going for 2 hours and showed no signs of stopping. They had discovered a shared passion for overseasoning, undersleeping, and the aggressive scheduling of their children's futures. Ada and Junho sat on opposite ends of his couch, both pretending to be on their phones, both listening to every word. She seems nice, Ada said carefully. She's already planned our kitchen, Junho said. My mother has already named our children. How many? She's flexible. Anywhere between 3 and 6 depending on her mood. Junho looked at Ada. Ada looked at Junho. The mothers laughed loudly about something neither of them caught. For what it's worth, Junho said, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be terrifying. Also fine. Ada smiled, set her phone down, leaned back into the couch like she had always known the shape of that particular space, like it had been waiting for her specifically, and she had simply taken the long way around to find it. Hey, she said. Hey, he said. Outside, New York moved in its relentless, indifferent way. Inside, something small and real and entirely unplanned continued to grow, built on ruined rice and borrowed spices and the specific grace of two people who had every reason to walk away and chose, both of them, not to. And that's a wrap on Jollof and Jjajangmyeon. If this story kept you smiling, kept you feeling something, please hit the like button, drop a comment telling us your favorite moment, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. We put everything into these stories, and your support is what keeps them coming. Share this with someone who needs a good love story today. See you in the next one.